So, as we see, unfortunately, since years, all these international organizations like the United Nations have proven to be inefficient, to speak gently. We see now it's not the UN which is negotiating the peace between Russia and Ukraine. We see that it's the United States which are trying now to salvage what is possible of their project, because we have to remember this war was initiated due to the action of the US in Ukraine. The thing is that now they see that this project is taking water and drawing like the Titanic, so they try to save what they can. That's the main point of these deals. The thing is that I really think that the situation in the world will really change once the process of moving from an almost hegemony to the multipolar world, then only we will be able, I think, to see a more stabilized world. Because once the relationships between the countries will be more based on respect and not imposing its own interests on the detriment of others, then I think we will see more and more the power of diplomacy coming back on the scene. For the moment, the problem is the West has imposed its hegemony after the fall of the USSR, and has, how can we say, like, given the bad example to the world on how not to behave. They have sowed chaos everywhere in the world, and we are now paying for all this. We now are facing the consequences of all this chaos. So I think only when all these countries which are responsible for this chaos are put back to their place in the world and limited in their possibility to continue sowing chaos, then I think we will have a world, I will not say where there is no more war. I think, unfortunately, there will still be wars, because at some point there is always, some conflict between countries that some countries will try to solve by force. Sure. But I think we will see much less of this, because countries will understand that they can work together for mutual benefits. That's something like countries like Russia or China have understood, and in the direction of which they are working, building commercial ties with not only neighbors, but like China, building roads between countries to improve all the trade. Because when you make trade which is mutually beneficial for both the parties, then you have no interest in doing war, because you can achieve your aims in a peaceful way, which Absolutely. Is not destroying your country, which is not destroying your economy, which is not destroying your population, your infrastructure. Because I think at some point, so we are now in this very chaotic phase of transition, where the hegemon is trying to keep its grip on the world, sowing chaos everywhere to try to somehow pretend they have some kind of control on this chaos. But I think after this phase, we can expect a world where the international organization will come back to the important role they had when they were created, and which was supposed to be when they were created. The problem is the West has taken control of a lot of these international organizations, turned them into puppets with no power, and completely extract anything really concrete from this organization. So they cannot achieve anything. They are just empty rooms with some resolutions which are not taken into account. We have just to see how the sanctions have been taken against Russia. Normally, by the international law, it should have been done by the Security Council of UN to be legal. But they have taken, tens of thousands of sanctions against Russia without the approval of the UN. And that's a big problem, because it means then the UN is not in capacity to put a stop to that, to say, oh, guys, no, it's not okay. You cannot do that. And, so I think we will have also to rethink these organizations after this transition period. And I think we have to begin to rethink these organization now, so then when this transition period is ended, when we are really in a multipolar world, we already can begin to make the changes which are necessary for the big comeback on the international scene of the diplomacy and all of these international organizations, which should never have been taken their authority and mechanism of to preserve peace in the world. I think there is two options for the end of the conflict. Either it goes until the moment Ukraine goes like in complete military failure, and it ends with a very bad capitulation for Ukraine. That's the first scenario. The second scenario is, of course, if Europe is stopping, increasing the stakes. We have seen already that the conflict is already evolving after the US have begun to get back some of the help, under Joe Biden. So they were providing Ukraine with a lot of financial and military help, which was taken from the American budget. Now they have moved the burden to the European Union, which is not able to afford such a big amount. We see that there are a lot of temptation to use the frozen Russian assets to finance the help to Ukraine, because the European Union leaders are seeing that even by taking all the money they can from the European Union citizens, it's not enough. It's not enough. They will have social unrest, and still it will not be enough. So we already see that Ukraine is already suffering from the less resources that it obtains now from its Western partners, because now Europe has to buy American weapons, which before were provided for, let's say, for free to Ukraine. So we already see that if one of the third parties from this proxy war is beginning to make step back, it's already getting the end of the war closer. So, of course, if the European Union is stopping its help, it's the end. Ukraine cannot continue on its own. Without all the West behind to provide weapons, to provide money, Ukraine is a failed state. So, of course, if the European Union is saying, okay, we stop this, we have no more the means to continue this help, it's the end, then it's also the end of the war, immediately. Without the insistence of the West in 2022, with this visit of Boris Johnson, we say, don't sign any peace agreement, we will give you money, we will give you weapons, and you will fight till the end, till the last Ukrainian. The thing is that, unfortunately, I don't see such a scenario out of some possibility that at some point all this help is so much damaging the economy of the European Union that they will prefer to, to throw the baby with the bath water instead of facing much tougher consequences in internal politics. Because the risk of social unrest is very big. We already see in countries like France that people are not okay with the fact to continue paying for Ukraine, especially after the last corruption scandal.
Yeah.
which involves close people who are close to Zelensky. So we see now that there are very few options to end this war. Either Trump is able to push Ukraine to sign the agreement, but I don't think there are more chance about it. Or European Union is making a step back, but this also has very few chances. Unfortunately, from what I see, all this has come to a very ideological point of view. European leaders have repeated many times that the defeat of Ukraine would be the defeat of NATO, it would be the defeat of the European Union, and of course they cannot accept that. So they have blocked themselves in a dead end. And unfortunately, when you put yourself in such a position, the way to get out of it will not be bright and will not be good. So I
Absolutely.
unfortunately expect that the bigger, I say, the chances, probabilities will be that unfortunately they will push Ukraine until the point that the country cannot continue to fight anymore and will completely collapse, both militarily and economically, from all this war, and will have to sign a very bad and shaming capitulation.
Alive.
Uh, the media are not only part of the psychological war, they're also part of the physical war. As I said, the first victim of war is truth. We have seen, as in the previous decades, how lies made by authorities and not challenged by the media led to the complete destructions of many countries, including in Africa. It was the case for Libya. It was the case also in the Middle East. I mean, I have to remember this big lie about the mass destruction weapons of Saddam Hussein, which was the official reason to attack Iraq. Uh, More than a million civilians paid of their life this lie. That's why the role of the media is so important. In the new world which is building, we really have to get rid of all these deviations from the rules which should be for all the journalists. We have seen how especially the Western media or the media supported by the West, so financed by the USA, the Ned, and so on, have propagated a lot of lies, including now against Russia to justify supporting neo-Nazis in Ukraine. And for me, I think there was not enough done. Perhaps 80 years ago, during the Nuremberg trial, only the main propagandist of the Third Reich was sued and condemned for his propaganda. I think that really there should be something done against the people who have closed their eyes, who have lied, who have propagated fakes into the media, in the mainstream media, which have led to wars all around the world, allowing for killing of a lot of innocent people, because their role is not small. Even Julian Assange said every war begins with the lies. Every war begins with lies, and that's where the alternative media are so important. We really have to develop a very big amount of alternative media, and we have to build them in the spirit of cooperation, respect, and work together that we want to see in a political level in the world. It means I think all these media should be like a living example of what the international politics, the international diplomacy should look like. So respecting each other, each with its interests, but not, walking on the bands of the others, while working together in a spirit of cooperation, of mutual beneficial cooperation. And I think on this, that's something which is already building, as we see. We see a lot of cooperation between media in Africa, in Russia, and some alternative media in Europe. And I think we should continue in this way, because the media have a very big role into helping people understand what is the real situation, building their own opinion. And at the end, it is the people who will push to end this cycle of non-necessary wars by understanding all the causes and consequences of these artificially built conflicts.
Okay.